What is up, full-time family? We're 5 minutes early, but we're kind of 40 minutes late. But it is what it is. We're here and we are live. It's time for full-time MMA live number 30. Full-time family. Time to 5 minutes early, but we're kind of 40 minutes late. But it is. There we are. There we are. All right, now we're live. All right, now I gotta get back on the right screen. Here we go. Scoot it over like that. Boom. All right, full-time family. Now we're live. We've been live, but now we're set up and ready to go with no echo. What's going on? We're gonna cover what's been going on over the last 24 hours this week. I mean, a lot of topics going on in the MMA world, and we'll see what happens. There's a lot more Bellator today we'll be talking about. There's some Bellator coming up, the welterweight Grand Prix. Some of the people's names have been out, but there's also stuff to talk about in the UFC. So we'll talk about that first, save Bellator for last. But I think the way that I want to start these out, just because I just seen Gary Kendrick Jr., my dog, longtime white belt, he's just commented and said, like, yo, I didn't know you could fucking, like, he just heard the Daniel Cormier XXXTentacion remix, and I was like, and, you know, that's kind of surprising. I thought he might have already heard it. So just for the people who haven't heard it, and it also gives more people time to get in here, I think I'm going to start off the show with, like, one of the MMA freestyles. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's not like I'm fucking rapping about money, cars, and hoes. I'm rapping about the UFC. You know what I'm saying? It's creative. So, I mean, I think you can deal with one per video or something, you know what I'm saying? And just for the people who might not have heard it. So, with that being said, let's just start it off with the double champ Daniel Cormier freestyle one time for the one time. I'm also going to pull up the chat while it's running. But actually, it's going to, the audio quality, I mean, you'll be able to hear it, but if I had headphones in, it wouldn't sound as, I don't know, however it's about to sound. Let's see. MMA fighter freestyles. Maybe it's because it's kind of hard to find, right? Mike Perry, destroys Kobe Covington. Yo, we did some shit over here, boy. If you haven't seen it, this is where you can check out all of the fighter freestyles we've done in the past, and even songs. They're not even all rap. We got the Wonder Boy parody. You know what I'm saying? We do a lot of stuff over there. But the one we're gonna play right now, Daniel Cormier, the double champ. And check this out. I picked Stipe to win this fight. I didn't even think, like, I made this for DC, you know, just cause it's the potential. I usually do both sides. I used to, but it, you know, takes like a lot of time, and it's not really worth all of that time that you put in when I could be doing something else. But what I'm saying is, like, when I did the Wonder Boy song, I predicted Darren Till to win the fight. You know, it's just, hey, it is what it is. But DC actually won, so that actually makes this much better for me. So I'm going to play this and pull up the chat.
Nobody fucking with me, yeah. I'm about to go be Stipe, yeah. Moving up to heavyweight, yeah. And I am destined to be great, yeah. And if you didn't know, they call me DC. And there's no one that you know that can beat me. Yeah, if I John Jones go team me, I don't think so. What's in that PP? Steroids, cocaine, probably weed, testosterone, dick pills, and speed, and shrooms, and pills, and codeine. Goddamn, John turned into a dope fiend, and Stipe's about to turn into a folding chair. When I fold him up, I'ma win 2 belts and hold him up. On my champ shit, kinda knows what's up, little bitch.
Hey, what's going on? We got Leon Dubson in the building, Terminator 837 in here, MMA from the Heartland, Stamina MC, and Israel A. Full-time your dog in the building. What up, Terry Crow, Kevin Wesley? What's going on, everybody? Philip, yeah, I'm not going to fuck up your name. Phil Long, here. Glad to see you on the cam, bro. Glad you're here, man. Yeah, so yeah, let's talk some MMA, man. That's how we might start these off with different ones, you know. I'm going to be making more in the future whenever there's bigger fights, or, you know, yeah, when it's intriguing. But yeah, so Brendan Schaub has given an explanation of his Eskimo brother, explanation of Eskimo. That was kind of hard to say. Explanation of this Eskimo brothers post aimed at Dana White. And long story short, he's saying sometimes you got to punch a bully in the mouth. But he also makes a lot of other good points we're going to go over. But with that being said, man, I don't know. What do you guys think? How much longer do you guys think Dana White's going to be with the UFC? That's my question. I mean, it used to be hard to imagine the UFC without Dana White, but I think he's kind of, I don't know, been pissing some fighters off, some fans off. some media off. You know what I'm saying? He took Ariel Helwani's pass. He went in on Brendan Schaub. He called him out of his name. He called him a moron and like a complete tool. You know, and it was a misunderstanding to start it all off with. The switching of the weigh-ins without consideration. I mean, it's like if you're on Dana White's side, right? You might be cool, like Francis Ngannou, but he's even turning on Francis Ngannou. Like, yeah, he lost a couple fights. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. That's just what I've been thinking about lately. Like, man, Dana White, he might be on his way out the door. I don't know. Maybe we'll see what happens. I don't know if, you know, I don't know what it would take. But Brendan Schaub, this was kind of like, man, Pusha T versus Drake. Brendan Schaub, he came back. This was it's crazy how much this is, you know, similar to that. But this is what Brendan Schaub had to say. But that is something I've been thinking about. I don't know how much longer Dana White's going to be with the UFC. I mean, I don't think the fighters or fans at this point, you know what I'm saying? I think Dana White's losing a lot of fan support with some of the stuff he does. But hey, it is what it is, you know. And like the WWE stuff, I don't know if people are putting that on Dana White, but I mean, it is what it is. The UFC's got to make money. But I'm just saying, especially with this situation here, man, Brendan Schaub seems to have be one of the guys that has one up on Dana White because he's not relying on Dana White. And some of the shit he has to say in here is pretty powerful because it kind of goes to a lot of the Project Spearhead or like even some of the stuff the unions have said. Like, I don't remember which union it was, but there was, or maybe it was a lawsuit. There was something where they said like the UFC, and they talked about how they kind of ran the company kind of like with fear tag, or maybe it was like when the Ariel Helwani situation happened. But it's like you can see sometimes how like it feels like the UFC retaliates against people who speak out. I mean, you can look at Leslie Smith. She started the Project Spearhead joint, and she kind of, whenever she didn't take her fight, she got paid for showing up and winning the fight when she didn't take the fight after her opponent missed weight, and they kind of just let her go, you know, and some people feel like that has to do with it. We've seen what happened with Ariel Helwani when he lost his media pass. And, I mean, there's just so much stuff adding up, man. I'm starting to feel like maybe what would the UFC look like with a new president? I'm just wondering. Maybe it would be, you know what I'm saying? The grass will be greener on the other side, but who knows? You know what I'm saying? But that's just something I've been thinking about lately. Either way, this is what Brendan Schaub had to say. I'm not sure what you're trying to achieve. You're wasting your time, though, throwing heat toward me. I'm telling you, you're wasting your goddamn time. Brendan Schaub ain't having it. He don't need Dana White, dog. You know what I'm saying? What's he going to do? Tell Joe Rogan to stop being his friend? Brendan Schaub has said at this point, you can say what you want. Dana White said Joe Rogan was carrying him. Well, if he was, he's not anymore. If he did help him to get where he's at, he's there. He doesn't need Joe Rogan anymore. They're good friends, and I'm sure Dana White's not going to be able to come in between that relationship. But I'm saying, even if he tried to pull some stuff like it's me or Brendan Schaub, I'm just saying, and Joe Rogan, it's not going to happen. These are grown men. But what I'm saying is, even if Joe Rogan disassociated with Brendan Schaub would be good. He's got his 2 successful podcasts. He's got his show on Showtime. He's got the stand-up comedy. He's good. He knows how to do it. His foot is in the door. So there's nothing Dana White can really do to Brendan Schaub in that sense. And so that's why he's a guy that isn't scared of Dana White. So when he's saying, because you motivate by fear, it's not a way to run a business. It's 2018. You just can't do that. Why do you think this is getting so many likes? Why do you think this is the topic of all this stuff? Because you're expletive. And no one can say anything because they're scared to lose their job. I'm not. I need nothing from you. I need no approval. I don't need promotion. I don't work for you. I do none of that. I tell you the truth. You're expletive. You're at the top of the mountain shouting, but don't shout negativity. What are you doing? The world's hard enough. I will never stand for it. And that's another thing that, you know, when you look at Dana White, you know, he's one of the best promoters in the world for sure. But sometimes you find yourself asking yourself the question, should a promoter ever demote one of his fighters? You know what I'm saying? In the public? Like, even if you feel someone had a bad performance, shouldn't you tell them that behind the scenes? Should you put that out in the media? I mean, would you want to watch his fights? The arena was just booing Tyron Woodley out the octagon. I mean, would you want to watch him? And then the fans hear that, and a lot of the fans run with what Dana White has to say. I mean, Tyron Woodley's boring. Tyron Woodley's boring. And then you remind them, like, you don't remember that was fight of the night? Oh, well, I'm talking about the last 2, not the last 3. It's like, no, you're just going with the Tyron Woodley's boring thing. You know what I'm saying? And some of his fights are lackluster, but not all of them. You know, you have a short memory. Was his performance over Robbie Lawler, was that boring? Was his performance, the first fight with Wonderboy, was that boring? I disagree. So, but with that being said, that's not the only fighter Dana White has came out and like with Francis Ngannou recently. Like he said, he thinks he has like an ego problem, and Francis Ngannou was like, I don't know why he couldn't have just said that to my face. Like why did he felt kind of betrayed. Why did he tell you guys that I have an ego problem instead of just telling me that maybe I need to check my ego? Like that's kind of fucked up. So and that's somebody that it felt like was Dana White was behind, like, hey, that's my guy, Francis, and maybe he's just trying, since he's lost, he's like, hey, maybe he's just trying to find an excuse for that. But still, some of the fighters feel blindsided by their president and the best promoter in the world. So Brendan Schaub, that's why I like what Brendan Schaub has to say, and I like the position he's in, because I honestly feel like Brendan Schaub he's telling a lot of truth in what he's saying. That's why I feel it's powerful, because I feel it. I really feel that. Like the fear he's talking about, I completely understand what he's saying, and it's when you're coming from a place where you rely on the UFC, it's your job, and if you speak out, if you get fired, and you've been working your whole life to be here, what the fuck are you gonna do? It's like, even if I feel like I'm getting wronged, what am I gonna do? Go lose my job? So kind of you either gotta shut the fuck up, unless you're somebody like Brendan Schaub or Ali Aquinta. That's another guy who speaks his mind. And why? Because he doesn't rely on the UFC as his only source of income. He's got real estate or whatever else. Ali Aquinta doesn't care if the UFC never gives him another fight. He'll be like, okay. Like he's even starting his own podcast. He's even getting that going. So once Ali Aquinta's podcast is really off the floor and running, you can expect more to come from him, because he's a guy that doesn't rely on the UFC. Now, a lot of these fighters, so if you're a fighter, a lot of them come from nothing. And so if you come from nothing, you can't really speak your mind because you're in fear of losing your job. And that's, it is. And then also the Project Spearhead thing, so it is what it is. But he continued to say, people go, oh, Dana's worth $400 million. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. To me, that doesn't mean you're successful or you're a leader. That doesn't mean shit to me. I couldn't figure out the other two expletives and I didn't want to guess them, but I'm pretty sure that one's shit. That doesn't mean shit to me. There's a lot of working wheels that go into making that deal happen. It's not just him getting it done. And what he's done to the sport is great. He took that torch, ran with it, got it done, sold the company. It's a major sport now. That's great, man. We should tip our hats to him for that, for sure. But if you think that with the platform I have, I'm not going to criticize you for shitting on fighters, man, who don't have much financially, they don't have a platform, they have literally no punch other men they have to literally punch other men in the face to make a living. And for you to bring men and women down like that, that's insane. You're never going to get a free ride here ever, 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 ever. For as long as I have this microphone in my face, you will always get criticized for that. Always, man. It's not cool. Hey, man, that's dope to hear, man, from Brendan Schaub. And especially now that he's even got a bigger platform than ever. You know what I'm saying? That's even a bigger platform for fighters than ever. A guy, somebody that's on the fighter's side, not worried about repercussions from the UFC. That's actually a super dope position to be in. He continued to say it's a crab-like world. Everyone's pulling each other down, trying to get to the top, trying to get to that next Conor McGregor level. And then the biggest fat expletive lobster is at the top. Dana White pushing you guys down. And for what? Imagine somebody else, the head of a corporation. They lose their job. Talk shit to people like that? What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? It makes no sense. It makes zero sense. But now, we're still continuing because he's talking about, he doesn't have issues with Dana White. And also, you have to keep in mind that Eskimo brother line. That's still the fucking bombshell, dog. All of Brendan Schaub, he's got all of this on his side already. Like, this is why if I say something about Dana White on my show, for one, it's just a podcast, but I feel all of this shit is true. So for Dana White to come out and call me out of my name, now I got to drop the bombshell. That's where it hit Dana in the mouth. He said, after all that, I still have no hate in my heart. I have zero hate toward Dana White. If he called me up right now and went, hey, man, let's stop this shit. Let's do this. I have zero animosity. Cool, man. I don't have time for hate. I don't have time to continue come after you on social media. You asked for this. That tweet I wrote on the plane, it took me 3 minutes to knock that out. It took me 3 minutes. I didn't ask for this. I don't want this. I don't need this negativity. I'm too busy. We both made it, man. Everything's all good. But yeah, man, it is what it is. Brendan Schaub, he's sticking by what he said. He's not taking it farther. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like Pusha T. He did what he had to do. But remember, he said it's going to be a surgical summer. If you want to come back, we can do this, man. But I'm just saying, let's motherfucking let bygones be bygones. I'm going to keep doing my podcast. and hopefully you keep your job. But it doesn't look like from the things that Dana White's doing, and I honestly feel that way. Like I said in the beginning of that whole thing, I'm starting to wonder what would the UFC look like with a new president. Before, I couldn't have imagined that, but with everything that's been transpiring with the sale, and Dana White has done amazing things for the company, so you can't take that away from him. But it's kind of like he's, and I don't want to say tarnishing his legacy, because he's always going to be probably known as the best MMA promoter ever. You know, barring 20 years from now, maybe there's somebody new that did amazing, even more bigger things. But Dana White's got his place in history. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can. It's not like he needs to keep working. It's not like he needs the job. You know, Dana White's got money. What did he say? Like, he's worth $400 million. Did Brendan Schaub say? I think I've heard he's got like 3 mansions or something. I mean, Dana White's balling. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like he needs to work. So I wonder what it would look like with the new president. I don't know what it would take for that to happen. Maybe some crazy scandal. You know what I'm saying, with this Eskimo brothers shit. But hey, it is what it is. I'm just saying, man. We'll continue. Brendan Schaub's explaining. You can check out the full article on MMA Junkie. We got Dave. He said, personally, I can't stand Brendan Schaub. I agree, though. Dana can't be talking shit about his fighters. And that's, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like, it just seems like it goes against the word promoter. You know what I'm saying? Even if you feel a certain way about Tyron Woodley, it don't matter who it is. You should be saying, what do you mean? You weren't on the edge of your seat during that fight? At any moment, anything could have happened in that fight. Don't forget, he had fight of the night at UFC 205. Did you guys forget about him knocking out Robbie Lawler? I mean, but maybe fans wouldn't. Like, if you think, what about this, though? If you just came out and always said good things about the fighter, would the fans even buy it? Like, you know what I'm saying? If the fans feel like a fight was boring and Dana White comes out and tells them it's not boring, maybe they would. You know, it's a lot of people do run with what he says. But at the same time, like you're saying, and I feel like it goes against the word promoter to talk about your fighters. It's like demoting. You know what I'm saying? You should do a fight companion, says Connor Lodge. I will eventually. I just I gotta wait until I get. I mean, the one I did last time, it was cool, but it takes away from like the growth of the channel for right now. I know eventually fight companions would be better, but I need like another computer monitor and stuff like that. So until I can really get the stuff I need, I'm gonna hold off on the fight companions. But eventually, I'm gonna transition to be doing fight companions for sure. Cam Murphy said, "What up, full time? Not much. What's going on, Cam?" Pusha Schaub says, "F Society." That's what I'm saying. We got Pusha S, and Pusha T. Eskimo brother freestyle rap. Yo, I gotta do the Brendan Schaub versus Dana White freestyle. Let me make that note. I gotta make note of that real quick. Somebody gotta give me a beat. I already did the story. I added on Dana White. This is gonna be great. Brendan Schaub battle rap. Alright, I got the idea. If I find a good beat, that might just pop up sometime. And that should be done by this week. I couldn't see a reason I wouldn't do one by this week. But sometimes it's just natural and organic how they come out. You know, I don't just like. Usually, I don't come up with an idea like that. Like right now, if I were to do it, I would probably put too much pressure on myself. So it might take like this whole week to come up with it because there's so much going into it, and I would want to make this one perfect. Because I would have to include the Eskimo brother. But usually when I do it, I don't have like shit that I'm just trying to include. Like. But yeah, it sounds fun. It sounds like a challenge, and I think it would also be dope. Rugby Queen says, I agree with Brendan Schaub. That's Guitar Babe, I believe. What's up, Rugby Queen? He has his moments, but Schaub is 100% right in what he said about Dana. Yeah, man. Brendan Schaub's looking pretty good at this moment. It's like, and who would have thunk, right? Like a lot of people, you know, Brendan Schaub wasn't the fan favorite coming into this. You know, it ain't like people really expected this out of Brendan Schaub. It's kind of, bro, I'm telling you right now, this is like the ultimate, like, comparison. Drake versus Pusha T. Like, that's what happened here. It's going to be a surgical summer if Dana White continues. Yo, Pusha Schaub, Pusha S. Going to be checking my YouTube video for that battle rap now. Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. All right, let's continue. He says, use the Despacito track. I already did a Despacito, though. I already did Despacito. I might have to, what's that new one that Cardi B's got out? It's also got like some Spanish on it too. I might have to use that beat. Alright. You change your YouTube name. Alright, Rugby Queen, I hear you. El Chapo 2 says, fuck you. Nice fucking tag, brother. Wheezing336 says Dana White should have went off on Schaub, done petty and unprofessional. Oh, he shouldn't have. Yeah. Bro, it was uncalled for, and then it makes it even worse when it was all a misunderstanding, bro. Like Israel Adesanya, whenever Brendan was talking, he was talking about Gokhan Saki, a guy with 2 professional fights. And Israel Adesanya felt like he was just talking about him because he's a kickboxer. He took it personal. And Dana White then goes the fuck left on Brendan Schaub. And this is kind of like, and I'm going to keep comparing it because if Drake didn't know that he didn't know Pusha T knew about his baby, clearly. He wouldn't have fucking went in on him. If he knew about, why would I go at Pusha T if I know he's going to fucking come at me about this kid? So he didn't know he had the T over there. He didn't know he had that knowledge. Dana White probably didn't know that Ronda Rousey was pillow talking. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't even thinking. He wasn't even thinking, oh, he might know. Damn, brother. Dave said Dana White freaking out on Schaub only helped his ratings. Yeah, Brendan Schaub, and he won. And he won. I'm sure Pusha T got some album sales. You know what I'm saying? Especially after he won. Take that video down, my bro. Works for YouTube. I will have your channel removed. Bro, you know what? Get out of here. Make El Chapo 3. You're still begging for me to take the video down. I'm telling you, no. You be this is the thing, El Chapo. You be on other channels spreading lies, talking about I'm begging for money. I've never once did that. Any time that I've said, yo, I'm in a situation, if you would help the channel, that'd be dope. I've never said do this or else, nothing like that, dog. So, and I've put in more work than any YouTube channel you could imagine, dog. Like I've put in the work. It's not like I'm coming on here, motherfucking panhandling. I'm working daily, working. So with that being said, motherfucking El Chapo 2 or El Widow 2 or El Chapo, whatever you want to call it, motherfucking make El Chapo 3. See ya. Fuck you, chum mad dude. I slapped him with the wrench. Bow! Bow! Out of here. But shout out to the motherfucking mods in the chat. Alright, let's continue though. That Brendan Schaub Dana White rap is going to be coming for sure. UFC champ Robert Whittaker says realistically he can't defend his title until early 2019. Now, this is a guy that's coming off of multiple injuries, right? He got his leg injured in the Yoel Romero fight. I believe he was pulled out of the Luke Rockhold fight with like a really bad like staph infection. Like I remember the reports made it seem like really bad. So he had like that staph infection. And then in his next Yoel Romero fight with the same tank, he ended up fucking his hands up. It's like, damn. Robert Whittaker is dealing with an array of injuries, so I understand why realistically he's going to be out until 2019 if I got to get healed up, and he wants to be 100%. But he's going to have that time to heal up when he's going to be coaching the next season of The Ultimate Fighter. The Ultimate Fighter Season 28, he's going to be coaching against Kelvin Gastelum. And so coaching that show will also give them time for Robert Whittaker to heal up. So with that being said, this is what he had to say. I haven't started the rehab process yet. Just more letting it heal first before I can implement that. They put a plate and some screws in my right hand. Realistically, I'm looking for February next year. So he continued, and this is what Gastelum actually, this was Kelvin Gastelum. He's raised concerns as well. Like, I don't know if Robert Whittaker's going to be the same fighter. And you could imagine that's going to make Kelvin Gastelum more confident. And I'll tell you guys one thing. Robert Whittaker's a beast, and I love everything he's done. He's made his mark on the middleweight division forever. He went through the Murderer's Row. He went through the Four Horsemen. He didn't have to fight all four. But when it was locked up in the middleweight division with Jacare, fucking Yoel Romero, Chris Weidman, and Luke Rockhold, those were the top 4 guys, and Bisping and GSP were up here. Robert Whittaker went through Jacare very impressively. Then he went through Yoel Romero, got the interim strap. And then he fought Yoel again. So what he did in the middleweight division is remarkable. But his body's definitely taken a toll since then. And Kelvin Gastelum is dangerous. Don't let his loss to Chris Weidman, throw you off. He's still been beating some of the most experienced guys in the sport. He's been on a Legends ass-kicking tour. You can say what you want about the Michael Bispings and, whether or not they're, at the very top of their game whenever they fight Kelvin Gastelum. Are they in there? Was Tim Kennedy in his prime when he fought Kelvin Gastelum, Vitor Belfort? No, but they're still very experienced fighters and some of the best fighters in the world. So the fact that he was able to finish a lot of those guys, if not all of those guys, is very impressive. Now, when he fought Chris Weidman, that was a bad matchup. But Robert Whittaker's a different matchup. And so on top of the injuries, this is going to be a way more even fight than you might think. If Robert Whittaker was 100%, you know what I'm saying, you might even give the edge to him more. But the fact that you question his health, the fact that Gastelum's boxing and wrestling is phenomenal, he's going to, you know, Robert Whittaker, he's going to really have to, I mean, he's not going to be able to just dominate the wrestling like the bigger middleweight Chris Weidman. This is a fucking tough matchup. This is a great fight right here. This is one of those fights where, like, you just don't want to pick a winner because you don't know who's going to win. You just enjoy it as a sport. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like how my brother brought up the, like how he was during Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier. After he saw some of DC's highlights at heavyweight, he was like, yo, I can't even pick a winner anymore. Like, I was picking Stipe, but I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this one. That's really how I feel about Robert Whittaker versus Kelvin Gastelum. I'm just about to sit back and fucking enjoy the ride. It's going to be a great fight once we get there. And hopefully Robert Whittaker can be 100%. But even then, Kelvin Gastelum is super fucking dangerous. But Kelvin Gastelum, this is what he had to say about Robert Whittaker's health. I don't know if he's going to be the same fighter after these fights, after those wars he's just been in. It takes a toll on the body. So we'll see how he comes out after his hand surgery that he had. That's true. Now, the saving grace in my mind for Robert Whittaker is the Jacare performance. Because Kelvin Gastelum didn't look like a world beater against Jacare. Now, Robert Whittaker did. But since that Jacare fight, he's had these wars and injuries. And so that's where it gets evened out. But with that being said, we'll move on to the next topic. Get off my D shit. I'm biased too. I want the Mexican to take the title. Very realistic possibility. Very, very realistic possibility. That's going to be a great fight. Anthony Smith, he's going to be fighting Shogun at UFC Hamburg this weekend, and he's disrespected by Daniel Cormier. Man, this is a hard fucking fight to call between Shogun and Anthony Smith, man. I just put out my predictions, I believe, yesterday, and I went with Shogun, but this is a hard fight. And Daniel Cormier, he raised the stakes on this fight for Anthony Smith. Whenever Daniel Cormier came out and said, like, yeah, you know, I'll fight Shogun for the title. I want to fight Shogun for the title. That was pretty much, you know, picking Shogun to win the fight. Shogun's got a fight coming up. If Shogun loses to Anthony Smith, ain't no Shogun fighting for the title. And if Shogun would have fought who he was originally supposed to fight, Ilir Latifi, he probably wouldn't have been fighting for the title either. And he probably wouldn't have won that fight in my mind. In my mind, Ilir Latifi is a motherfucking savage. And I'm, you know, I want to hear what DC has to say about Ilir Latifi. Ilir Latifi called out DC after his last win. Very impressive submission over OSP. And he said he'll fight him at light heavyweight or heavyweight. I got my eye on Ilir Latifi. He was supposed to fight Shogun at UFC Hamburg. He was out with injury. Now Shogun's going to be fighting Anthony Smith. And if Shogun wins, he could be looking at a title shot. But this is what Anthony Smith had to say. He felt a little disrespected. He said if he thinks Shogun is the next guy and I beat him, then he gave me the opportunity to put my hand up. I think that he did that for me, and I don't even know if he realizes that. I don't know if that's the case, but I see what he's saying, you know. He said Cormier isn't excited about the Alexander Gustafsson fight, whether it's a money thing or a new matchup. I think I'm a fresh face, and that's an exciting matchup for the fans, me versus DC, but I haven't even thought about that right now. Well, I wasn't even thinking about that aspect, but I still don't think that's the case. If Anthony Smith beats Shogun, I don't think he gets the next title fight. I mean, hey, DC did kind of bring up that conversation. That never crossed my mind. I didn't even think if Anthony Smith wins this fight, he could be fighting for the title. And you know how that goes kind of too with politics, right? I mean, if Shogun wins, he's a legend of the sport. That's why I thought about him getting the title fight. He's been fighting since Pride. He's fought legends. He's fought for the title. And he would be somebody that Daniel Cormier would probably like to have on his resume. I think that's why he would like the Shogun fight. You know, I never fought Shogun. He's a legend of the sport. That would be a legacy fight. Anthony Smith, I don't think DC would be as excited to fight, not because he thinks he would lose, but just because it's not a legacy fight. But I see what Anthony Smith did here. But also, Anthony Smith, you could imagine, might have felt a little disrespected because DC saying he'll fight Shogun. It's like, what, do you think he's just going to win my chopped liver over here? But he's got to beat me first, buddy. So we'll see what happens in this fight. Anthony Smith, very dangerous, coming off a knockout over Rashad Evans. And before that, Anthony Smith, he's 4-5 in his last 5 fights. He's won 4 out of his last 5 fights, all of those via knockout. Now, he's been down in a couple of those fights, but he's got the heart of a lion. That's why his nickname is Lionheart Anthony Smith. And so with that being said, he's a very dangerous opponent. He could definitely win this fight by knockout. If history tells you anything, if he does win this fight, it's going to be probably a knockout. His knockout over Rashad Evans at UFC 225 came in the first round in pretty devastating fashion in front of Rashad Evans' home crowd in Chicago. That was a great win for Anthony Smith. So if he can beat Shogun, he's definitely working his way up there. He's jumping into the top 5 and top 10, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I don't think he can get a title shot. Even if he knocks out Shogun in the first round, I don't think he gets the title shot. And he would only be on a 2-fight winning streak because he was on a 3-fight or 4-fight winning streak before he lost. He lost the fight to Thiago Santos, and then he got the win over Rashad Evans. So, but I see what he did there. I mean, I don't think there would be a lot of fans. I don't know if he would get the title shot though. But yeah. UFC Hamburger says Weezing 336. Latifi is a monster. He needs to fight for the title soon. I'm on the page with you, Weezing 336. I'm ready to see Ilir Latifi up there fighting for a #1 contender spot. But the problem with that is his boy. You know, his Alexander Gustafsson and him are boys, and Jimmy Manuwa, I believe. Like, so they don't want to fight each other. And so Ilir Latifi's kind of log-jammed because he's in the same division as the #1 contender, Alexander Gustafsson. So the only way Ilir Latifi gets the title shot is kind of if he leapfrogs his boy. But I definitely can't wait to see him fight for the title. And I think if he definitely had potential to win the Shogun fight. And if he beat Shogun, and now that's a fight I would have, as a fan, been into. Because Ilir Latifi was ready to fight DC at heavyweight. And he looked like a monster in his last win versus OSP. So we'll see what happens. But Amanda Nunes is explaining the delay on the Chris Cyborg matchup. I'm interested to see what she has to say here. We need some time to promote the fight, said Amanda Nunes. I still can't kick very well. I still can't run very well. I'm better, but I still need time for therapy. That's 6 months away. I'm ready now, said Cyborg, though, on Ariel Helwani's MMA show. She's calling me out in January. It's a long time. You can't call somebody out. I want to fight you. Make them wait 1 year until you're ready. I don't get paid for waiting, Cyborg said. I get paid to fight. That's what I'm saying. So we'll see what happens on this situation. I believe that Chris Cyborg is going to fight at UFC 228. Let's motherfucking go. By the way, I fucking almost forgot. How could I? Chris Cyborg commented on 2 of my fucking videos this morning, dog. I almost forgot because I've been doing so much shit. I was late to the show because I had to make the pawn chop, bada boom, bada bang. But yo, I almost forgot and got sidetracked because we also had the troll in the building. Shout out to the motherfucking UFC Women's Featherweight Champion, Chris Cyborg. Commented on my last 2 Chris Cyborg videos. That's super dope. She also hinted at UFC 228, which is why I just said that I feel like she's gonna fight at UFC 228. I don't think it's gonna be Amanda Nunes because Amanda Nunes is ducking her taco. And I'm sorry, I gotta say it. Amanda Nunes is ducking her motherfucking taco. It is what it is, man. And unless I can get some clarification on why the UFC sent her a contract to fight at UFC 228 if you still can't even, like, run good. Like, does the UFC not know when their champions are injured? Like, hey, Amanda Nunes can't fight at UFC 228. She's still injured. Let's not even send that contract. You know what I'm saying? So for the UFC to have sent that contract, maybe Amanda Nunes is just ducking her taco and not ready to fight at 228. Maybe she was just clout chasing, dare I say, when, like a lot of these other girls, I want to fight Cyborg. Or I wish, who was it, man, in the comments? It might even be George Page. But I don't want to get it wrong. Someone in the comments says Chris Cyborg is like, it might even be Arpit. Chris Cyborg is like Candyman. Say her name 5 times and be careful. You know what I'm saying? Be careful what you wish for. Because it's like after these people say Cyborg's name so many times to build up their name, then she's like, all right, let's fight. And they're like, nah, we're good. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's been a lot of girls, champions. Ronda Rousey was another girl who used to be talked about to fight Chris Cyborg, but when it came down to it, we never got to see the fight. That's not the only example. Amanda Nunes fucking got us all wanting to see this fight, and now we've heard about a Vieira fight, we've heard about a Holly Holm fight, and we ain't hearing about this Cyborg contract. Now, we did hear about her signing for UFC 232, but like Cyborg said, that's a year in advance. I'm trying to make some money. Cyborg could for sure fight by then. Cyborg could for sure fight at UFC 228, get a W, and then fight Amanda Nunes. So that's likely what she's going to do. She's probably going to, and I don't know who it's going to be against. It's probably going to be, I don't know who the Invicta Bantamweight champion is, but that's probably who it's going to be. Cyborg about to mollywop a chick. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who. Maybe one of these girls that didn't get signed to the Ultimate Fighter, man, yeah. Bam Bam Sorensen. One of these girls that were supposed to be on the Ultimate Fighter house that we wanted to see on there, legit featherweights. Probably not going to be Megan Anderson. Thanks, UFC. You know what I'm saying? Megan Anderson could have been a fight for Cyborg. That's out the window because she lost to Holly Holm. Holly Holm likely to fight. She wants her bantamweight belt back. So we'll see who Cyborg fights. I don't know who it could be, but it's likely going to be somebody that is relatively new to the UFC. I wouldn't, unless it's someone else. But I wouldn't imagine it being someone that gets signed up to fight Cyborg, and that a lot of the fans look at like Cyborg's just going to win that fight. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Anybody got any ideas? That weird guy, John Taylor, Cam Murphy? Who do you guys think Cyborg could fight at UFC 228? Also, on the comment, she put hashtag UFC Fight Night 137. And so I had to look that up. What is UFC Fight Night 137? That's in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So Chris Cyborg, in the comments, she also mentioned Fight Night 137 in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Maybe she's just hyping that card up. You know what I'm saying? She was like, hashtag Cyborg Nation, hashtag UFC Fight Night 137, hashtag UFC 228. So maybe Cyborg is got a friend or somebody fighting in Brazil, or she's just hyping up that Brazil card. So yeah, that's dope. How heartbreaking will it be for fans to see DJ and TJ fight on the same card but not against each other? I think we'll get over it. It's going to be, you know what I'm saying, a good card. I mean, yeah, I don't know how heartbroken I am, honestly. I would have loved to see the fight, but I'm not going to lie. I would love to see this rematch between Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw as well. That's going to be a great rematch. Henry Cejudo's a guy that I don't look at as chopped liver. I know a lot of people don't respect the other flyweights, but I do think Henry Cejudo's got some serious skill. I think Joseph Benavidez is a monster. So, but with that being said, it is unfortunate, but it seems like Demetrius Johnson's content. He wants to be paid. I mean, we know how that situation's played out, but it is crazy that we wanted to see them fight each other, and now they're fighting on the same card. It's like, come on, dog. Ugh. But maybe if they both win their fights, just maybe, we can see that super fight. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, wouldn't it be crazy? Like, what would it be like if, I don't want to put it on Demetrius Johnson because I kind of see where he's coming from. But I was going to say, would it be like MMA karma? Like, what if he got upset by Henry Cejudo? Like, Henry Cejudo's got some serious wrestling skills, but Demetrius Johnson just, like, destroyed him in the first fight in, like, 3 minutes. So, with that being said, it's very unlikely, but Henry Cejudo's still a beast, dog. And I believe he got a knockout in his last fight. He knocked somebody smooth out. Who was it? Who did he fight? Wilson Hayes? He knocked somebody out, Henry Cejudo. He's cleaned somebody's clock in one of his most recent fights. So I'm trying to think of some birds she hasn't fought and beat the shit out of. That's what I'm saying. I don't know who. Their stream. Oh, Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series is on tonight. Holy shit, bro. Let's speed through this stuff. It's on now. I don't think Nick Newell, Greg Hardy, or anybody that's like a big name is on. But either way, man, I'm trying to watch that shit. Damn. We talked a little bit about that. We might miss the first few fights on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, unfortunately. But shout out to motherfucking who? Giving Sure Name, yeah, for pointing that out. And Stamina MC. We should be doing like a fight companion for that. Y'all want to do that? Should we be watching the fights right now? But then I can't talk about the news too. I can't like do both. That's why I need another screen. See, if I had another screen, I could also do that. That's coming soon, but not as soon as I would like because I just had to pawn some shit today. But either way, man, give me a month, we'll have another screen. Merab Davishvili says he's fighting Tyrion Ware at UFC Moscow in September. Wow, that is a fucking cool fight, man. Merab Davishvili has looked good in his UFC fights. He got Merab'd and won. And since Ricky Simon refused the I think he actually did get Merab'd. He might have got Merab'd in both of his fights. Really, the second one, because I think Merab beat Ricky Simon. Oh, yeah, that's the fight. Merab was whooping his ass the whole fight, and then Ricky Simon had the choke in, but Merab was doing the bicycle kick, keeping his feet going, and if it would have went to the bell, he would have won, but the bell rang, and they still gave the submission win to motherfucking Ricky Simon. That was that fight. Merab got Merab'd. And he's taking on Tyrion Ware, who fought my motherfucking dog, Sean O'Malley. Tyrion Ware, you know, that was a good fight versus Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley versus Tyrion Ware, that was the fight where Sean O'Malley, you know, he looked good in the first round. Second round, he might have been a little out of energy, but then he looked great in the third round, came back and won the unanimous decision. And Tyrion Ware, you know, he didn't really like my vocabulary in my video description because I said that Sean O'Malley smoked him like a joint, but I wasn't really like, you know, before the fight, there was a tweet from Sean O'Malley, and he was like, yo, I can't wait to smoke Tyrion Ware like a joint. And me being such a Sean O'Malley fan, I was like, oh, shit, he actually won. He smoked him like a joint. Like he said, it was a great performance. And so, you know, I can understand why Terrion Ware might have got a little sensitive on that title. He was like, yo, he didn't smoke me, bitch. It's like, damn, you ain't got to call me a bitch. And also, I was clout chasing a little bit because I was still real new. So I was like, disgruntled UFC fighter calls out full-time MMA. Yo, what up, Terry? Because it was a UFC fighter and I'm just a fucking YouTuber, nobody. So I was cloud chasing a little bit, responding to Terry on like, hey, bro, no disrespect, but it is what it is, man. I'm a huge fan of him. Bada boom, bada bang. And so, yeah, you know, I've been rocking with Terrion Ware since then. A little bit of a misunderstanding, but I follow him on Twitter. You know, I like the guy. I got my, you know, so I'm kind of rooting for him in that way because I know him a little bit in a sense. But Merab Dvalishvili, I'm definitely rooting for. You know, this is one of those fights. I feel like Merab is a fucking savage, bro. He looked amazing in his last performance. So we'll see what happens. But Terrion Ware, the Flash Ware, he's definitely no easy opponent. I believe he's 17-6 overall. A lot of fights, experienced guy, great boxer. Going to be a great fight, man. And it's going to likely happen at UFC Moscow. So we'll see what happens, man. And I believe Terrion Ware has said that he's going to have fight news soon. I don't know if he announced it, but on his Twitter, he has been hinting at some fight news. Yeah, Merab for sure got Merab. Web PK Vidge for sure, brother. All right. Let's continue. Antonio Carlos Jr. upset at the rankings. Wants Paulo Costa for UFC Fight Night 137 headliner. This is a topic, man, since Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series we honestly might not spend too much time on, but here's what he had to say. I watched the recent fight between Paulo Costa and Uriah Hall. It was a great fight. Both men stood toe-to-toe, and Paulo came off with another win by knockout. Awesome. Congrats to him. And now Paulo's being touted as the next big thing. Maybe he will confirm that. I have simply nothing against this young man. He's just doing his job. But how could it be that he is ranked above me, for example? I was in the Ultimate Fighter, Brazil 3 heavyweight champion. I'm now 9-2 in the UFC with 5 wins by submission. I fought very tough customers along the way. Like I said, nothing whatsoever against Barachinha, but something is way out of line here. This young man has only fought 4 times. I have more submission wins than he has fights in the UFC. Got a point. But this is the thing. You know, and some people talk about the female division, you know, and how females get opportunities for their looks. You think motherfuckers that look like motherfucking Barachinha or Cody No Love Garbrandt ain't getting no special treatment, or GSP? Motherfucking, and I'm just saying, they have the look to sell tickets. Motherfuckers want to see them fight. He looks like a fucking Greek chiseled goddess. There's something, it's not just the women's, that's just real life. You know what I'm saying? Good-looking people get opportunities sometimes. You know what? Come on, dog. And so that happens in the UFC. It's part of the politics. If Barachinha, it don't matter if you've got 1 million followers yet, or if you have the potential to get 1 million followers because of what the UFC sees in you, you might get some opportunities. And he's knocking dudes out. I don't think he's lost in the UFC. That's also something in this case here. You know, Antonio Carlos Jr., he's definitely got a lot of submission wins and he's beat some tough guys. But if you fight, like let's say Shoeface is ranked number 13. If Paulo Costa fights the ranked number 10 guy and he beats him, that's how he jumps the rankings. You know what I'm saying? So now how does he get that opportunity? You know, how come you now that's where the politics might come in. How come Paulo got to fight the number 10 guy? I want a higher ranked opponent. Well, that's because the motherfucker's probably going to have 1 million, not even just followers, not even just technically about the followers, but he's marketable. Tickets and seats, selling tickets. Put him on a motherfucking Wheaties box in Brazil. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to think of like a Portuguese way to say Brazil, but it would have been super wrong. Is it official? So did Dana fuck Ronda or what, says Philip Hong. Allegedly. Allegedly. I mean, Brendan Schaub, from what he had to say, I would say yes, but you'd probably fuck around and get sued or something if you just say yes. I don't know. I'm just saying allegedly yes. Do I believe so? If someone had a gun to my head and said, hey, do you think so? I would go, yes, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? So I think so, man, but I'm not sure. It's not official. But Eskimo Brothers means one thing. I actually watched the show where that term came from, the league. Some people say, no, it means, you know, you came in the same hole. 2 guys that have came in the same chick. No, it fucking don't. It just means you just banged the same chick. It ain't got nothing to do with, oh, we both came in the same chick. You think they're sharing the baby mama? This ain't Pusha T Drake like that. You know what I'm saying? Bro, I literally put the clip in the video where it came from. But yeah, no, dog. Booyash Buhashinha. Oh, Bohashinha. It's not Borachinha. It's Bohashinha. Oh, Bohashinya. Bohashinya. Come on, dog. Yo, that's how they should spell it. You know, how about this? If you want your name pronounced the right way, if you're that anal about your name being pronounced the right way, how about you spell it and tickle whatever how you say that? You know, spell it with the hyphens and everything. B-O-H-A-S-H-E-E. Spell it how you the pronunciation. How about that? If you want it pronounced the right way, and if you just don't care, spell it how it was God given or your mom gave it to you. But if you want your name pronounced the right way, how about you just spell it like the pronunciation? Because it's too hard, dog. Because like that's like imagine the Polish fighters, right, or the German fighters. Like, and they be like, my name is like, I don't know how to do that. I didn't grow up doing that shit. How am I gonna pronounce like, you know? Because I'm sure it's not just Yon Jacek. And even if that is a bad example, there's some fighters that have, you know, in languages that have that or the that we ain't even pronouncing. So we're never going to pronounce everybody's names right, especially when they're from a different country. You know what I'm saying? That's like if there was somebody that came over from Mexico with a heavy Mexican accent, and I was like, and they're calling me, fucking, my name's Jordan, so Jordan. Let's say they're calling me Jordan, and I'm like, no, it's Jordan. Like, Jordan? Like, no, it's all good, man. Call me with just, you know what I'm saying? I don't make that big of a deal off the pronunciations of people's names. I've never cared if someone called me, you know, Jordan or spelled it with an E instead of an A. Like, I'm not that guy. But hey, it is what it is. I know some people are anal about that. With that being said, moving on to the next topic because we got to get to Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. Mike Jackson hoping to hear back from Dana White. He says the haters got to stop. He said he still got me on timeout. Is that all he had to say talking about Dana White? White swore off Jackson in spite of his win over CM Punk. He also swore off Jackson's subsequent request to fight Artem Lobov, saying it might result in Jackson's death. He said Artem Lobov might kill Mike Jackson. What a fucking super fight. Let's see what he continued to say. He says, it's not a knock on him. I don't want to come out as it be disrespectful. I just think stylistically it would be a fun and exciting fight, talking about Lobov. Okay, and he says, I can't find it. This motherfucking article should have just got straight to the point, so we're about to skip this one because we ain't got all that time. But either way, Mike Jackson versus Artem Lobov is a super fight, and Mike Jackson feels a certain type of way about Dana White. I mean, you could imagine after what he had to say in the post-fight speech. UFC Argentina debut in Buenos Aires November 17th. Holy smokes, we got a date for, it looks like the first fighter that came to my mind is the fighter you see in the picture. Santiago Ponzinibbio. You looking for Ashley? Yes. I've been seeing her walking around up here. No, she's not. She's been walking around up here. She might be beside the bed or something like that. Oh, wow. She's using the bathroom. That's funny. But yeah, I've been live streaming, so I ain't been able to tell her to go downstairs. But yeah. All right. But yeah, that's the microwave, everybody. He was supposed to be in the chat. He said he might tune in today. It is what it is, though. But yeah, Santiago Ponzinibbio. He was supposed to fight at UFC Chile in the headliner against Kamaru Usman. He was injured. Now the UFC is going to Argentina, and that's the first fighter that comes to my mind when I think about Argentinian UFC fighters. It says the UFC recently announced earlier this month the South America card was scheduled for November 17th, and MMA Fighting confirmed on Tuesday that the fight night event will take place at the 9,000-seat Luna Park in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The promotion currently has 2 cards scheduled for South America continent on September 22nd. A fight night event will take place in Sao Paulo, Brazil. That's UFC Fight Night 137 that Chris Cyborg was hashtagging. Let's motherfucking go. Let's go, champ. The UFC has yet to announce which fighters will headline the card. Argentina's most popular fighter, Santiago Ponzinibbio, born in Buenos Aires, is expected to headline UFC Chile against Kamaru Usman. So yeah, if this card isn't headlined by Santiago Ponzinibbio, that would be crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because he's from Buenos Aires, he was already, but we know he can headline. I mean, he's definitely an exciting fighter. He's won some fights via KO. Now, we talked about some eye pokes, I believe, earlier in the show, but it is what it is. You know, some people gave him the name Eye Poke Zanibbio or Santiago Poke Zanibbio. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? He had that win over Mike Perry. Great win there. Might have been a decision. But either way, I was about to call him Buenos Aires. Either way, Santiago Ponzinibbio does make for some exciting fights. So I was excited for his headliner against Kamaru Usman, so I'm definitely down to see him headlining this card. Who would the opponent be? No clue. There's a lot of welterweights available. We'll see. But either way, I think that I wouldn't see a reason why he wouldn't be headlining this card unless he was injured. So likely UFC Argentina will be headlined by Buenos Aires' own Santiago Ponzinibbio, which would be a huge opportunity to headline where you were born as well. That's super dope. Chael Sonnen believes fighters will start copying Colby Covington. It's interesting and it's clearly working. Is that so? According to those pay-per-view buys, some people disagree, but those pay-per-view buys still, in my mind, were low. I think they should have been higher. I think that either people were boycotting the card, there was either a lot of other shit going on, there might have been some boxing that night. There was something going on that night, because $250,000 for that stacked of a UFC card is, I mean, 250,000 buys. Originally, the reports were 150,000, 250,000 is still. I mean, think about the card. 2 title fights. You got Colby Covington versus Brazil on the card. Former champion Rafael Dos Anjos. You got motherfucking Holly Holm versus Megan Anderson. Tai Tuivasa versus Andrei Arlovsky. CM Punk's on the card. That card had the potential. I mean, CM Punk's first fight sold like 1 million buys or something. I mean, it wasn't even a super stacked card. Not like this. So this one sold like 1/4 of that, and it had a whole lot of help. That's fucking crazy. But it is what it is. But even with those 250,000 reported buys, that's still one of the bigger cards of this year. I mean, you had UFC 220, 221, 222, and 224. They weren't huge successes. They weren't stacked. They didn't have anything crazy going on. 223 had the whole Khabib-Conor McGregor Dolly incident. That made that embedded go crazy. And so that was a very popular card. I don't know how much pay-per-view buys it sold, but it was still had potential to sell a lot with all of that shit going on. I mean, Conor McGregor was ever present. I could imagine that would have helped the pay-per-views. It was already a pretty stacked card. Khabib Nurmagomedov ended up fighting Ali Quinta, which was unfortunate. We had some fights canceled, so maybe some people didn't buy it because of that. But either way, man, the 225 card still sold more in 2018 than a lot of these other cards. And with streaming and everything else, I mean, it's just weird how those numbers played out. But Colby Covington, his gimmick, Chael Sonnen believes like it's working, and he thinks people are going to start copying him. And I'll tell you guys this much. I feel like people have already started copying him. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you guys have got your eyes on Ricky Simon. Now, he ain't going off and saying nothing about Brazil. But Ricky Simon, man, and his win over Merab Davishvili, his little speech, he had some heat for the crowd. Like, you know, some people felt like he might have won. I don't remember off the top of my head. Let me see if I can find it. But, like, you know, because like I said, I feel like Merab got Merab, and a lot of other people did as well when he got his name won. But at the same time, he said something, and I think he even, not only did he, like, address the crowd, I believe, but he also had a call out, like, Benito Lopez, something, something, something. And I was like, yo, whoa, do we got a little bit of a flyweight Colby down here, a flyweight Chael? I see a little bit of heel in this Ricky Simon kid. You know what I'm saying? So that was interesting. And I also believe not only Chael Sonnen, I don't think they're going to imitate Chael Sonnen. I'm not giving the fucking credit to Chael, or I'm not giving the credit to Colby Covington. I'm giving the credit to Chael Sonnen. If they're imitating anybody, they're imitating Chael Sonnen. Colby Covington didn't create this shit, dog. He's not the first one to come out here and talk trash to sell fights. Not even Chael Sonnen's like giving him the credit. No, Chael, this is you. I feel like people are going to, and it's not even just Chael, because Chael, he might have been a fan of the WWE at one point earlier in his career. You know what I'm saying? He had some of that. So Chael just sees it from a marketing standpoint, and that's why I think people are going to adopt this. And that's my perspective, because people are starting to realize storylines sell fights. There's a reason that the WWE still has millions of fans, and everybody knows the fights are even fucking fake there. But it's because the storyline. So now you got the UFC where the fights are real, and now all you're missing is the story drama on the outside. That's why a lot of us quit fucking with the WWE when we found out that shit was fake. And so now, what if we would probably still be watching that shit if we thought it was real? We probably still would be. So now, when you do have real fighting, it's like you can make it that much bigger. But a lot of people are hesitant, you know what I'm saying, to that idea. I don't want to do no I don't want to call out Brock Lesnar. I don't want to fucking build up my fight and start drama with somebody. You know what I'm saying? But I think the more opportunities you see these people getting, whenever you see Colby Covington getting a title shot, if you see Ricky Simon moving up the ladder, or anybody get these opportunities and sell pay-per-views, I think that's going to make more and more people start embracing the entertainment aspect. You know, I agree with Chael Sonnen here. I do believe more and more people are going to start embracing the entertainment aspect. Now, I don't think they're all going to be spit images of Colby Covington, but this is what Chael Sonnen had to say. In many ways, he's going to reinvent the sport. Is that better? Is that for better or worse? Time will tell, and then you can decide. But people are going to start copying him, and he's the first guy ever to come out and say, "I'm just here to entertain you." So yes, it's an act, and yes, it's a performance, but here it is, and you guys seem to enjoy it. He's the first guy. The only guy who ever did that in wrestling was The Rock. Everybody else stayed in character and held the old kayfabe montage. But he's the first guy to come out and go, "Look, I'm just looking to entertain you. If the UFC isn't going to bring me cameras, I'll hire my own production crew. I'll pay them. I'm going to get this content recorded and out there to the masses." And their scripted promo, Sonnen continued. What the fuck? Wasn't Chael Sonnen just calling out Joe Rogan? But I guess he was calling him out for saying it on the pay-per-view. But I've never heard anybody aside from Tyron Woodley say these are scripted. I've never heard Colby Covington admit these are scripted. Chael Sonnen says he'll admit they're scripted promos. Another thing that only The Rock would do. Nobody else would ever admit to it. And I think that he's having fun. Now, I've known him since he was 11 years old. It's going to be very hard for him to do anything that upsets me because I just understand it a little bit differently. But I do think we're going to see guys start to copy him. I think he's an innovator in many ways. And again, is that a good thing or a bad thing? We'll find out. But does he get credit from me, at least, for coming in and changing it? He's the first guy I've ever seen who has hired his own camera companies to come and go, "Hey, UFC, you're not going to do this for me? Great, no problem. I got some money. I'll make a phone call. I'll set the shot up myself." I think it's interesting, and it's clearly working. Yeah. Okay, I hear what Chael's saying there, but I'm not giving the credit to Colby Covington. And also, do you guys think that this is Colby Covington's mastermind plan? You think Colby Covington's the one that says, "Hey, guys, I want to hire people that will talk trash, give me good scripts, and hire my own camera crews"? Or do you think it's the fucking masterminds at American Top Team? You know what I'm saying? If you're a hardcore fan and you kind of know a little bit about American Top Team, I know a little bit. I've seen like some of Colby Covington's WWE, not in the WWE, but it might be like Ring of Combat. I don't know all the other professional wrestling circuits, but Colby Covington has already done some professional wrestling. The guys at American Top Team do some professional wrestling. So I don't think Colby Covington came in and fucking just said, "Hey, I wanna do all this in the UFC." And especially if he's known Chael Sonnen since he's 11 years old, I don't think Colby Covington came out so much and admitted to it being fake as much as people called him on it. And the fact that it didn't really feel as natural for some guys. So nobody really bought Colby Covington's gimmick. It wasn't just Colby wanting to come out and say, "Hey, I'm faking all of this shit and you guys are going to enjoy it." No. Tyron Woodley came out and said, "Hey, this guy's scripting his shit." And Colby didn't just say, "Hey, yeah, I got a fucking ghostwriter and y'all are going to love it. I don't really mean none of this shit." No, I don't remember Colby doing that. But I do believe that this Colby Covington shit is going to continue. I think there's going to be fighters in different divisions. I think we're going to start to see like a bad guy in each division. You know what I'm saying? Like Ricky Simon or whoever in the flyweight division. I don't know who it's going to be in the bantamweight division. We're going to have a bad guy in the bantamweight division. We're going to have a bad guy in the fucking featherweight division. You know, I do think we're going to see some of that WWE marketing, more of that probably on the outside. But with that being said, that's selling fights, so it is what it is. We got to continue, though. Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series is on and popping. We got the Bellator. Time to talk a little Bellator. Bellator announcing the 10-man welterweight tournament field. I think there's only one name missing, and it's a glaring name. Because if it's 10 people, check this out. We got 9 names. I don't know who Amasov is. We got John Fitch, Neiman Gracie, Andrei Korshakov, Lorenz Larkin, Douglas Lima, Rory McDonald, Michael Page, and Ed Ruth. What a fucking tournament. Holy smokes, dog. Just the matchups, and then if you win, you got to fight this guy. This is going to be some killer shit. That's only 9 names. There's one name missing, and it's a glaring name. And if this name's not in the tournament, it's gonna suck. You know what? Paul Daley, where you at? Paul Daley, where you at, brother? I gotta see Paul Daley versus Michael Page, and it's either now or never, man. One of them wants to fight, then the other one doesn't. Then the other one wants to, and the other one doesn't. When are we ever gonna get to see Paul Daley versus MVP? I mean, I want to see MVP versus any of these guys. I'm glad MVP's in the tournament. That's super dope. But I would have loved for the first matchup to be Paul Daley versus Michael Page. Winner advances in this motherfucking tournament. That would have been dope. So, with that being said, Michael Venom Page, he said he doesn't mind if Paul Daley's in the Bellator tournament. He said he kind of sucks. Let's see what he had to say. If this isn't timestamped, we are not listening to this whole motherfucking video.
Danny Segura for MMA.
You know, everyone would have been asking about it. And it feels good. Like there was speculation of it happening beforehand. And now that it's
I think he's in the tournament. Scott Coker didn't announce that. What do you make of him not being in the tournament?
probably the right move. Like, he kind of sucks. He's a person that has done well in the past. If he ends up in the tournament, it'd be good. I'd love to.
The fucking irony. The fucking irony. Michael Venom Page saying Paul Daley kind of sucks. That's like, come on, dog. Like, it's funny. It's kind of funny just to hear him say it like that. You know, because it's, to me, that's kind of like that Kobe Covington-ish trash talk. You know, it's the trash talk that makes you want to see the fight because you don't feel like, you know, it's going to piss Paul Daley off. But the irony, dog, come on. You can't tell me you don't see the irony in the ultimate can crusher. And that's my motherfucking dog, MVP, one of the most exciting fighters in the welterweight division. But that's when he gets to showcase his abilities and his dancing and his motherfucking karate. But if he gets put on his back, it just might not be the best place for him. And so we've seen Michael Venom Page in the off time go into boxing and beating up a couple of those tomatoes or whatever you want to call them, like 2-12. Fucking, you know, not with the best records, but that's pro boxing. That's how they do it. When you're starting your pro boxing career, you're supposed to beat a couple fucking nobodies. But I would have just liked to see Michael Venom Page in like a wrestling match or a jiu-jitsu match outside of Bellator. That way I know he's, you know, improving that side of his game. But so with that being said, that's why I think it's kind of ironic to say Paul Daley kind of sucks. I don't give a fuck what you think. Paul Daley's a veteran of the sport, damn near legend. He might be a legend of the sport in some people's eyes. Shoot, he might be in mine because there's something, it just depends on what you're looking at in a legend. To me, Paul Daley's a legend of the sport, kind of like felony Charles Bennett. I'm not talking about he had the most prestigious resume, UFC champion, defended his belt 10 times, 2 times, you know, because politics sometimes play into that. Everyone doesn't get those opportunities. Jorge Masvidal's a legend of the sport to me for that reason. He's a guy that came up from the backyard to the bright lights. Has he ever got a title shot? No. He's got robbed in a couple of fights here and there, but he's motherfucking still a legend of the sport because he helped turn before the UFC, he was out here fighting these MMA fights. So that's legendary to me. And Paul Daley's a guy that was fighting before the UFC. He hasn't always been on the right side of the brass in UFC or Bellator. You know, he's having his issues now with Bellator. He already got kicked out the UFC for some shit that they would probably pay for now. You know what I'm saying? After what Conor McGregor's done and a lot of this WWE stuff, Brock Lesnar pushing homie in the octagon, we've seen Conor McGregor put his hand on a referee once or twice. I mean, with all of that going on, what Paul Daley did doesn't really seem like a bannable offense, really. Like, yeah, you definitely shouldn't hit your opponent in the octagon, but maybe you get a little bit of a suspension, eh? Maybe you don't get a fucking lifetime ban from your job, you know? But it is what it is. Paul Daley got kicked out of the sport. But even before the UFC, though, Paul Daley, he fought guys like Jorge Masvidal, and he built his record up outside the UFC, fighting for other promotions. Very talented striker that came over to the UFC. And so that's even why the matchup with MVP is such a great matchup, because they're both good strikers. But Paul Daley's not a guy that kind of sucks. Just because his last fight versus John Fitch didn't go his way, I guarantee you right now, if John Fitch fought MVP, it would probably be worse. In my mind, Paul Daley's fought higher-level wrestlers in the past. He's even got that much more grappling experience than a guy like MVP. So for MVP to be saying Paul Daley kind of sucks, I think it's a little ironic, but still fun.
You know, be the first person to kick him back out.
Darren B. Hey, you guys, Darren B is El Chapo, by the way, if you guys didn't know. That's like his, I knew that was his other account. Well, I don't even know what he's saying. Fat time squeak squeak. Dude, here, I got something for you, man. Hide user on this channel. Did that work? Hopefully. Wait. I don't know if that works. Hide user on this channel. I gotta, like, block a motherfucker. I'm not just trying to. I don't know if that's the same thing. Oh, shit. That's not what I wanted to do, full-time family. I gotta fix that. Alright, but we'll move on to the next topic. We got Wanderlei Silva on previously button heads with Dana White. The weak size always gets screwed. Kinda, I mean, we're not gonna go too far on this. He actually had a whole lot to say. We'll probably save this for the next day, actually. But he had a whole lot to say about Dana White, and it's a lot. But it's kind of to what we were talking about earlier, how some of the fighters kind of, even if you don't fear the UFC, you ain't gotta be scared to, you know, get the wrong end. If you're going against your boss, it's not about that. It's not about being scared. Even if you're not scared, you can get fucking cut. I don't think Leslie Smith was scared of the UFC. That's probably why she's doing this Project Spearhead shit. But you see what happens. You ain't got to be scared. You might get cut. Wanderlei Silva, he ended up butting heads with the UFC at one point. And it's like, you know, he wasn't scared, but it is what it is. But he had a whole lot to say on this topic. He mentioned, he even went as far as saying you were treated like a slave by this promotion, as you can see. He says, you know, that I've been treated, he said, I've been chased, discriminated, treated like a slave by this promotion. They don't want to release me from the contract, so I can't work anymore, which is my right of not wanting to work for them anymore. I can't work anywhere else. I come here asking the UFC to release me from this slavery system. You work for them or you don't work anywhere else. Some good soul. Please translate this and send Dana. I know I will find the best lawyers to help me with that. So I mean, we might actually just talk about this at because it's kind of important, but we're not going to do the whole thing because you see he had a whole lot to say, and it was translated. So I'll talk about a little bit of it, though, because I just fucked up, and I'll tell you guys what I just accidentally did after I fix it. Let me go to community settings. All right, I fixed it. I got to hit save. I accidentally made Darren B a moderator. I was looking for the block button, and it said, Darren B is now a moderator. So I just unmodded him. But yeah, I fucked up for a second. That's why I had to fix that. But Wanderlei Silva, man, yeah, that's a great point, actually. We're just going to talk about that. That's what we're going to talk about here. I'm not even going to get into the rest of it for now, but where he says, like, he can't work for anywhere else because he's under contract with the UFC. See, if you're in good terms with the UFC, you can do that. If you're Conor McGregor, the UFC's letting him box. Not even just Conor McGregor. Brock Lesnar, right? Brock Lesnar is a guy. He's under contract with the UFC, but he's still going back and forth to the WWE. I believe I heard Dana White say he was under contract with the UFC and the WWE. But if you're Wanderlei Silva, if you're not somebody that the UFC is, you know, breaking bread with or whatever the fuck, if you're not in favor with the UFC, they're not letting nobody do that. Nate Diaz, they wanted to box professionally before. The UFC wasn't letting them do that shit. So it's like, if you're not a big enough star to where you don't have enough fans that would stop it, the UFC just does whatever the fuck they want. You know, it's like, yeah, you can't box, and, you know, you don't have a big enough fan base that really gives a fuck. Like, maybe if Wanderlei was a huge, bigger star, you know, he would have been able to do it. But it feels like a lot of these fighters, whether you're Nate Diaz, Wanderlei Silva, Chris Cyborg, you can't go box or do none of that shit when you're under contract with the UFC. And so if you get in a situation where you're having a dispute, you can't go to Bellator, you can't go to motherfucking Combate, you can't go to LFA because you're still under contract with the UFC. So it's a weird situation, man. I mean, just as a fan on the outside, and I try to remain unbiased, but it's hard. Like, I know if I was the boss, if I had my own business, I would probably, that's how I try and look at it. I would be trying to make the most money as well. Also, we don't know all of the business expenses, so like I try not to look at it all the way just from one side. That's why I'm trying to be unbiased in it. But yeah, I do see a lot of like what looks to be, I don't want to say predatory practices, but that's a word coming to my mind. But the stuff the UFC does, it just doesn't feel right a lot of the time. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel right, but you can't really put your finger on it all the time. but the fighters will speak out and stuff sometimes, and you're like, I kind of feel you, but it is what it is. What the fuck are we supposed to do about it? Y'all are the ones that, you know, until there's a unit, there's nothing to be done about it. Like, except for, like, if you're Brendan Schaub, I guess, speak about it. And now after you're away from the UFC, finally Vanderlei's out of his contract and he's with Bellator. And now it's like he can fucking breathe. Like, this is what was happening to me. You know what I'm saying? Now he can work again. But it's just weird when there's a fighter that you're in a dispute with the UFC. Like, let's just say you and Dana White don't get along. So now you can't work. You know, that's just, it doesn't feel right all the time. But hey, it is what it is. Like I said, man. But Vanderlei Silva has some good points to make. Fighters can't work anywhere else when they work with the UFC, but sometimes they can. It just depends on who you are. But with that being said, Brendan Schaub, tired of Dana White's fighter bashing. This is something we probably could have talked about at the beginning, but I think this was actually just a different point. He said, I can't understand why he does this to fighters. He's notoriously done this for years and years and years, where he just talks about guys, and they're not doing well. Those guys just lost the biggest fights of their life. They're going to have to pay. They're not feeling good about themselves. And then the boss, who you're looking to for any amount of approval, it would go so far. You're the captain of the ship, and when you're shitting on all the employees of the ship, it doesn't make people feel good. When you try to lead by fear, it doesn't work. We talked about that ad nauseum at the beginning, so we're going to just fast forward. A little more Bellator news. Michael McDonald gives an update on his latest hand injury. Michael McDonald just got a win over Eduardo Dantas at Bellator 202, I believe. That was a fight where he looked good. He got a first-round KO, I believe. Put his weight up there with the best bantamweights in Bellator. Bantamweights? Yeah, I'm pretty sure bantamweights. Now 2-0 in Bellator, but he had a hand injury, and this is what he had to say. A bone in my hand near my wrist was shattered into multiple pieces. When I was finishing the fight, although the break is severe, the pieces of the bone are still 80% in their original placement, so I don't need surgery to correct the ailment at this time. We are going to let it heal naturally for 6 weeks and then assesses it afterward. The doc says surgery after the 6 weeks pass could still be an option, but this will be our step 1 attempt to fix the hand. So it looks like he doesn't need surgery. I fucking hate when that happens. It's like, we don't think we need surgery, so we're just going to let it heal. And then 6 weeks by, and it's like, damn, I should have just got the surgery. It's like, oh, so those 6 weeks were, you know, Dominic Cruz recently said that. He's not the first one. Tyron Woodley, he's a guy that didn't think he needed surgery. Then a little bit later, oh, I just went in and got the surgery. Dominic Cruz, he said, damn, man, he felt like, I believe he didn't need the surgery with his broken arm. Or what? There was something with Dominic Cruz where he blamed himself for kind of prolonging it. So that's happened multiple times. Gary Kindred Jr. with the super chat. Yo, I'm telling y'all, I'm gonna get something every time that happens. Much appreciated, Gary Kindred Jr. Thank you very much for the $2, good sir. Let's see. We got full time. Are you reading the comments? Yeah, I go back and forth, bro. I be going back and forth. I be trying to. I don't do it like in between every topic, but yeah, I do read the comments for sure sometimes. But what's going on, Gary? Because Brendan Schaub said Dana White needs to stop bashing fighters and try to uplift them. Full time, are you reading the comments? Yes, I heard that. What the fuck is this? The Money Channel? I'll definitely always hear a super chat. Daniel Reza says maybe they had a secret agreement to get paid and now both throw the fight. Fuck being a slave. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about there, which fight you were talking about. That's what happens when see, that's why I don't like jumping in the middle of the conversation, because sometimes like I'll be reading a comment out loud and I won't know the context, so it kind of gets confusing. Like I don't know who he was just talking about, what fight he was just talking about there. Dominic Noah's chick says, do you think Herb Dean should take points away from Lewis and Ngannou for the lack of action, or even stop the fight at some point and call it a no contest? I don't know if that's a rule even in the UFC. Do they take points away for no action? I mean, that's the first time I can recall seeing that warning in the UFC. But what I will say is maybe a point should have been taken away against DC, you know, because he got warned for that eye poke like 3 times and then poked him in the eye afterward. But at the same time, you know, the point in that fight wouldn't have mattered after you get a knockout. The point only matters if it goes to decision. But, I mean, I have seen a lot of fights recently where I feel like there's warnings and there's just not a lot of points that get taken away. Like, when's the last time you've seen a point taken away in a UFC fight? I can't remember. It's been a while. And I watch a lot of fights. I'm sure there's probably one this year, but it doesn't happen very often. But, yeah, that would be pretty cool. Let's see. Give me my wrench back. Oh, what the fuck? When the fuck did you lose your wrench? Is this a fake Gary Kindred? How the fuck don't you have a wrench? Yeah, I'm sure that's the real one. I don't think a fake Gary Kendrick would fucking. Yeah, I don't remember even taking. I removed like everybody's, but hey, it is what it. Maybe that's. You know how it goes, man. We got fucking hacked not too long ago. It feels like so. Can I make you a moderator right here? There we go. All right, you should be one. Yeah, you're a moderator now. Hopefully that's the right Gary Kendrick Jr. Like you don't just start banning everybody. Full time I was talking about the Black Beast fight. Oh, okay. You're saying that one maybe they what? You said that one maybe they both got paid to throw the fight. Fuck being a slave. Oh, I don't know, man. That's some whole nother level shit. That shit's too woke for me, bro. Like I've thought about that shit in the past. Like man, that would be crazy. Like, but yeah, man. Now that I'm a fucking media channel, bro. I'm not trying to talk about that shit. You know, that's like a conspiracy channel shit. Like, cause it's a conspiracy. There's no proof. You got no evidence. It would just be putting accusations out there. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing about conspiracies. If you don't have proof and evidence, it's like you're just talking out of thin air. And it's like, what the fuck are you really saying? So, like, if we had like a fucking conspiracy channel, which I'm really not interested in, I would speculate more on shit like that. But I mean, it is what it is. I hear what you're saying. Daniel Regis said full time. Okay, John Jones taught DC the eye poke. That's what I was thinking. It rubbed off on him. Like, hey man, they've been cheering for this eye poking motherfucker for this long. Maybe I should jab a couple. And it's funny because everybody's like, oh, we don't care about the eye poke. DC's the GOAT. Like it's funny because it's like you eye poke and you get cheered. No, that's a joke. That's a joke. But yeah, it rubbed off. I've seen a fighter being DQ'd for that. Remember I told you I got hacked? Oh, you said you got hacked. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I couldn't even get on your channel for like a month, and that's why I fell behind on the videos. Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, that was a weird situation. Yeah. All right, we're going to continue. I think we only got like one more topic to talk about. I mean, I'll talk to y'all again, but just real quick, this is something I am definitely going to be watching. Chris Levin coming out of retirement to fight Phil Baroni in a bare knuckle match. Bro, this bare knuckle fighting shit, dog. I don't know how often these events can take place because, like we saw Beck Rawlings, she won her fight and her knuckle was still pretty busted up after the fight. But either way, they are entertaining. I'll tell you that much. They are motherfucking entertaining. And now they're starting to sign some big names. They had a couple big names in the last one. Beck Rawlings. Alma Garcia was like a boxer, I believe. They had like fucking main event Rico Rodriguez versus another UFC former heavyweight, I believe. But now you got guys like Chris Levin, I believe Phil Baroni, Felony Charles Bennett, I heard was going to be in the next bare knuckle fighting. And yeah, so now we got Chris Levin. Let me look up all the people. Because not only Felony Charles Bennett, there were some other names. Charles Bennett, bare knuckle fighting. I'm trying to go to news. There we go. Chris Lytle. That's the article I saw. And Beck Rawlings is coming back. We're going to have Chris Lytle. That's a name I recognize. Charles Bennett. Now we got Chris Levin, Phil Baroni. When is this? August 25th, 2018. I'm in. I'll be watching that for sure. So, yeah, with that being said, what's going on? It's about time to check out the motherfucking Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. Yeah, Felony Charles Bennett in the building. He's going to be on bare knuckle fighting. Maybe he can get a W. I wonder if that goes on your MMA record, or is it like a bare knuckle fighting record? So I'm going to say he definitely could use a win, but I wonder if he gets a win in this fight, what record it goes on. It's bare knuckle boxing. It's not MMA. Maybe it's a boxing record. That's interesting. But get Melvin in there. Oh, shit. What if it was Melvin Gillard versus Felony Charles Bennett in bare knuckle fighting? Yo, but make it fucking happen, dog. But, hey, y'all, thank y'all for coming through to the show today, man. We're going to call it quits here. Check out Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. I've already got some more videos I recorded that I didn't have time to upload before the live stream, so I'll put those out as well. And, yeah, man, we'll be back live tomorrow, so thank y'all for coming through. It is what it is, man. We're out of here for the day. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments.